Hello and welcome to the Global Fashion Workshop channel. I remind you that we release a new video 3 times a week. We continue making a pattern for our coat. You've already watched the first part of the drafting and now we'll start the second part. And I'll explain how to make a pattern if you want a fastener on your coat and if you want your coat to be similar to mine from Max Mara. I tried the coat on one more time, and I'd like to say that because there's no dart, the coat doesn't fit me well in the chest. It keeps sliding to the sides, but I'll still wear it and I'll be happy, and I won't fasten it because there's no zipper. I want to say that I'm glad to be making a pattern with a dart because I'll use it to sew another garment. Take a look here. I'm making the coat longer by 45 centimeters. You decide for yourself how much longer than the basic you want your coat to be. I'm adding 45 centimeters. Why 45? I need the coat length to be about 106 to 107 centimeters, like this. 45. And I'll tell you everything about the shoulder, the center front, and the flaring. I'm placing it like this. Take a look here. Here's the center front. The red line means the center front. If you make a wrap, you should add 2.5 centimeters. It'll cover a seam and a fastener because you don't need to make a wrap too wide. I'm drawing this line for those who'll make a coat with a fastener. I won't need it. I can't stand having fasteners on thin clothes. I need my coat to flap like this. The button stand edge. It's for those who will make a coat with buttons or other fasteners. I'll cut it later. It's for illustrative purposes. I love it when the garment is done professionally, when the waistline matches the waistline, the shoulder length and the wrap are right, and there are no excesses in the center front. It's not even up to discussion that the front center of the right and the left side should match when fastened. I love when everything's done properly. Look what I'm doing. I'm drawing the neckline. We're not constructing a collar yet. I'm working with the basic pattern. I'm drawing the shoulder. We need to add 5 to 7 millimeters here at this point. I'm drawing the line so you could understand where we need to add. We added right at the shoulder. I couldn't have managed to explain everything properly in one video. First we prepared the pattern and now we're constructing the coat itself. I'll put away this pattern soon. Look at these red marks I drew, 3 centimeters above the waistline. This is the spot where we'll flare. We're not making a flaring in the waistline. We're fitting slightly above the waistline and a flaring will look much better. Here's my waistline. No, it's a red mark, and the waistline is here. I'm putting it away. You see how this line is perfectly straight? We based this pattern on the 10 measurements method. Now look, This is the spot where I want to fit. I'll fit it from here and make a 4 centimeter flaring to the bottom line. Measuring the distance to the red line, and I'm adding, no, let's add 3.5 centimeters. Yes, 3.5 centimeters. What do we have so far? The side seam that opens a bit in the hips and goes here for fitting, as usual. I personally do without any allowances, so I'm just adding 0.7 millimeters here for a seam, but I also need to draw a roll line right under the bust line if we're making here the first button, and in my case they'll be the beginning of the collar. Let's make a mark here. When we're making folds, constructing a collar and a roll line and marking the first button, this is where it's supposed to be fastened. I won't have any buttons here, and this mark defines where the beginning of the collar will be. It could be of any shape you like. I just happen to choose it to be a bit round. In the same way, we'll work with the front and the back. I'm cutting without seam allowances. It's just a front center without any allowances. Okay, we're checking the roll line by folding it like this. This is it. The result is great. It looks very pretty, just a teeny tiny roll line. Take a look here. The collar will start somewhere around this spot. Very beautiful. Don't forget to add a few millimeters here on the shoulder. It's necessary on a one-piece sleeve. We're eventually stepping away from the 10 measurements method or any other basic pattern. We loosened a bit the bust dart, the shoulder dart, deepened the armhole, added a few millimeters on the shoulder, and made a flaring. And here we'll have an almost finished pattern of the front of our coat. We'll do the back and the side the same way. We'll be fitting slightly above the waistline on the side too, just like here. I really like such one-piece sleeves made with the help of basic patterns. I think our longtime subscribers know the importance of reference marks. We use reference marks so we don't have to check everything time and time again when we start sewing. It'll only take time and we can't afford it. Here's the waistline. We spent so much time constructing the front piece. We constructed only the front with the roll line. We'll make the back and the side the same way. Our garment has a seam in the center of the back, just a straight seam. You don't necessarily have to make it. There can be just a fold and that's it. But the seam gives a sense of rigidness. That's why we're making it. I'm drawing the neckline. You remember that we need to add a bit of space here on the shoulder. Here's our reference mark. Fitting mark, usual waistline. I added 45 centimeters. The flaring will be 3.5 centimeters. I'm adding 3.5 centimeters here. First, I get rid of this pattern. The front is ready, and we're almost finished with the back. When we create such a good pattern, it's important to save it. Put it in a file, sign, and keep it. We're fitting here a bit and connecting with a 3.5 centimeter mark. We're flaring. This is the waistline. This is the mark where we're fitting. It's not on the usual waistline, but just a bit above it. So I constructed the back with a 3.5 centimeter flaring, fitting above the waistline with a slight addition for an ease on the shoulder. We had to make such a perfect pattern. When I'm constructing a pattern of this type, I always say that it's something that you don't often see on the street. Not because designer books don't have it. You can find it in any edition, but it's explained in books in such a way that it's hard to follow its instructions. We're constructing with the help of a basic pattern, and I'm trying to explain it to you in detail. I'm unable to cut standing still. You see, don't you? I always need to move around the table. This is how the back looks. It's finished. I'm putting the back aside and I'll start making the side. This detail is called the side panel. The side panel is up to these marks and the sleeve starts from them. I'm tracing it, adding 45 centimeters, fitting and flaring. Surely we need to keep all reference marks. These marks are for the waistline, and these marks define the spot where we'll be fitting a bit. giving a shape. From this mark, we'll be adding 45 centimeters and making a 3.5 centimeter flaring. The bottom line. We're adding 3.5 centimeters. The flaring is 3.5 centimeters. And here we're adding 3.5 centimeters too. If you want it to be wider, do as you please. This is the waistline. This is the waistline. And the waistline has to match all other details. If you want a wider sleeve, you do it. The first time you'll follow my instructions, and after that you can construct a pattern as you wish. Attention, please. We finished the front, the back, and the side that merges onto the sleeve. What should you pay attention to? We're checking the front with the side, the distance from the bottom to the waistline and from the waistline to the reference marks. I'm closing these parts and connecting the waistlines. I connected them, and this mark should match the reference mark. They match perfectly. These marks match. These marks and the bottom part match too. The front piece and the side panel merging onto the sleeve match perfectly. The same with the back. We're checking from the bottom to the waistline. Here's our mark, and the side up to the reference marks match perfectly. This part of the sleeve should match this part of the sleeve. All the reference marks match each other. We're ready to cut. Of course, you should always check everything that you're doing and things will work out. I want to put the patterns so that they're matching in the waistline. We're ready to cut our garment, made with the help of the basic pattern. It's perfectly balanced, will lie well on the chest, and won't be too tight here, and will have enough space on the shoulders. I suggest to cut the top line for 1.5 centimeters for the first fitting, so we have a spare 5 millimeters if we feel uncomfortable with the way that the shoulder is made, just in case we need to loosen it a bit. First, you'll construct such a pattern, baste a garment, and see how it will look. The next time, you may create a different design. You can change it however you like. The possibilities are limitless, but we need to start somewhere, and this is our option. It's time to say goodbye. We studied 2 long tutorials, and this drafting isn't the easiest one, but the result will be marvelous. Click the like button and share our videos on social media. Subscribe to our channel, write comments, and buy our courses. Thank you for watching. All the best from Irina Paukšte and the rest of our team.